Welcome to Bet What Happens Live, everybody. I am Nick Giffen along with Grant Neefer. We are looking at a 49ers 10-3 lead at the 2-minute warning of this Thursday night football game. 49ers do have the ball here at the 2-minute warning. Grant, what are your thoughts on this game so far? And if you have any early places to look, go ahead and give them to us.
Yeah, I actually just hit CMC over 99.5 rushing yards, currently sitting there minus 115 over at Bet365. To me,
Over
that seems a
99
little
and a half. Yeah, we're at 103.5 right now. So I like that as well. I'm going to tell you on that. So that would be Christian McCaffrey over 99.5 rushing yards. Right there, our first live bet. Seconds into the show, both Grant and I on Christian McCaffrey over 99.5 rushing yards. Sorry to interrupt you there. Just wanted to point that out because the model is right there with you.
and it just moved to 102.5. Neato. So I'm glad I got that in. But yeah, no, I mean, it's really simple. The game script should be positive. I mean, the 49ers, who knows if they'll end up scoring here, they should come at least away with a field goal. It's football, anything can happen, but realistically, probably going to be up 17-3 going into the second half. They don't get the kickoff, I don't believe. Giants do, but they're going to be running the ball a decent amount here. CMC, while he is only on a few days rest, they are putting Elijah Mitchell in there a little bit. He's looked really good tonight, can always break off a big run. Pre-game line was sitting at 79.5. So when you incorporate the fact that he might end up with 10, 15 potential rushing yards here, I can't remember where they're at. Well, 14 or 13 potential rushing yards in this spot. That just makes the line even better. I mean, they have the time, they can run it. They just ran it, or they're running it with Debo at the moment here. They'll probably give it to CMC on the next one. How many timeouts do they have?
They have
there
all
we go.
three of their
Amazon just
timeouts.
does it.
So yeah, all three of their timeouts.
So they have no reason to pass the ball at all to save clock. So it's a good spot here. I think they're going to give the ball to CMC. We could see an extra 10 yards here on this next play, which is good. But yeah, this line is just a little bit too low in my opinion. That flag is not going to help out that bet. But things happen. That's what I'm looking at right now. The other one I'm potentially looking at, I want to hear what the model has to say about it. It's Darius Slayton over 21.5 receiving yards. I was thinking about hitting that before the game started. I think it was at 29.5. Glad I didn't, because I can get better value at the moment. It's currently sitting at 19.5. There it is. It's right back on the board. That's what I'm looking at. What does the model have to say?
Yeah, model's at 25.5. So I like that over there as well.
All right, I am officially hitting that then.
Yeah, and that's his median projection. His mean is 27.5. His median is 25.5. So I'm going to go with you on Darius Slayton over 19.5 receiving yards. He has none right now, but he has actively, been a part of this game. He has run 9 routes, and Daniel Jones has had 12 dropbacks. That is the most routes run so far of any Giants receiver. So he's getting his routes run. He just hasn't caught a pass yet. 1 target, but we expect that to change in the second half, of course, especially if the Giants continue to trail. We'll see an even heavier pass percentage from them. So I think more targets will be coming Darius Slayton's way.
All right, perfect. What do you think about the other guys? What was the model say? Darren Waller sitting at 34.5. One I'm thinking about. Hodgins sitting at 18.5. Another one I'm thinking about. I don't like Paris Campbell. Breida, 15.5 is not too bad. But the main two I'm looking at outside of that are Waller and Hodgins. Both of them, I think, potentially good one. Game script should be solid here. They were used heavily last week when they were coming back from behind in the game. I think both of those are solid. I want to hear what the model has before I officially hit either of them, though.
Yeah, so Waller, we have just slightly under. Plus, I noticed on the first drive, Bellinger actually had more usage than Waller in terms of snap count. So probably one I want to stay away from. What did you say Hodgins receiving prop was at?
18.5.
18.5. Whoa, yeah, we're way over on Hodgins. So we have 23 receiving yards for the rest of the game. I actually took his pregame over as well, so I don't mind doubling down on that one. I think this is a pretty solid matchup for him. So I'm willing to go over if you are.
All right, I'm hitting it. We're already 3 bets in. I didn't think it was going to be like last week. I'm like, I can't find any bets, and then just looking at these lines for these wide receivers is just too good. And it looks like there was a penalty here. We'll see. CMC might bleed the clock. We'll see what ends up happening here. The last minute and a half, minute 51,
Yeah,
minute
so it's
44. There it
completion.
is.
That was completion to Kittle there. So
And
he's
then a
up to
penalty. I think
27
it was
receiving
roughing the
yards.
passer.
Yeah.
Yeah. FYI, guys, if we don't know what they're actually saying or what the penalty is, it's because we're watching this without sound.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that most recent pass was to McCaffrey, and Brock Purdy at 158 passing yards. We've got first and goal for the San Francisco 49ers, a minute 44 left in the half. And San Francisco heavy favorites to win. So we're projecting Brock Purdy for 283 passing yards for the full game. That's going to change. And there's your Christian McCaffrey touchdown. So obviously that's going to change with San Francisco scoring another touchdown here through Christian McCaffrey. So that gives them a 13-point lead, potentially looking at a 14-point lead here in just a moment with the extra point to come. If we look at the live betting line, it looks like at Bet365, just for the game, well, we're waiting on them to come up with a line here. I think we have to wait for the kick, but this is going to be more than a 94% win probability for San Francisco at this point, because we're at around 91% prior to that play.
Yeah, I don't hate the Giants though at plus 17.5. Not taking the money line, obviously, but over 17.5 seems solid. And I like the under going into this game, but 42.5 because of the game script. Giants have a weird ability to just do some work later on in the game. I don't hate that. Also, I think you were against this, but Danny Dimes 28.5 is probably too high of a rushing yard prop. I thought it was a little bit lower at 24.5. I'm sure your model says under on Danny Dimes rushing yards at 28.5.
Yeah, we're definitely under on that, but I will say it is certainly going to adjust upward in the second half once that clicks over, because he's going to be scrambling a lot more. The thing about the 49ers, they're really good against scrambling quarterbacks, top 5 in the league in terms of yards per rush per scramble allowed over the past year and 2 games, to start the first 2 games of this year. So while the volume may be there, I think they probably have a plan to contain Danny Dimes scrambling. So it's not a bet I'm going to make, but if you like it, that's something. But like you said, the prop is a little bit high right now.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to stay away from it. And now I'm definitely going to stay away from it. It just moved to 30.5. So that's not great. Looking through other things, we don't even have touchdown props up right now. That's interesting. I wonder if it's because we crushed them so much last week. I have to assume.
I think once we get to halftime, we'll be all right. But yeah, no touchdown props right now. One place I do want to look, I think this is pretty interesting with San Francisco up 14, of course, is their passing game. Do they start to rest certain players? Obviously so for those of you who were watching earlier, I took George Kittle under 50.5 receiving yards for the full game. He is at 27 right now. We're projecting 22.5 more, which would be 49.5. His live line is 41.5. So really they are projecting a pretty, books are adjusting a pretty big drop off with George Kittle at 41.5 receiving yards. And I'm actually showing overvalue on 41.5, even though I liked his under to begin with. So it might be a spot I could take a middle right with San Francisco, maybe just taking one more drive to really ensure they pad their lead in the first drive of the second half. I think there's potential to take a Kittle over and kind of middle this. But I don't know. I'm curious about your thoughts on this.
I just hit it. I saw that. Also, Debo at 62.5 is looking real interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Debo Samuel 62.5. Let me just pop that into my model here. We have that pretty much 50-50. But yeah, I do have some value on Kittle the over. I will say when I click this over to the second half, because I still had first half with a minute 40 remaining, but the Giants have the ball. I will say when I click it over, it's not as much value on Kittle there. It actually has a median 18.5 rest of game to go with his 27. So it'd be 45.5 instead of 49.5 as his final projection if we get to halftime.
So what does the model say about CMC over 34.5? That's one I think I'm going to hit.
For receiving yards, I'm assuming.
Yeah, just needs 9 more in the second half. I have to assume he's going to get a dump off.
Even if I click it over to the second half and assume they don't get the ball the rest of the half, we're showing 65% to the over. So I like that. I'm going to tell you on that one. We got to go. Yeah, we got to go Christian McCaffrey over 34.5 receiving yards. That's a big value right there.
Yeah.
And there's always the chance, the Giants tighten this game up on this drive. So there's even more hidden value there if the Giants were able to make a drive here. Now, I know San Francisco started with the ball, so they're not going to start with it in the second half, but definitely some hidden value there. But right now, Giants are driving a little bit. It's third and 2 from their own 33-yard line. So it's possible, like we said, that they drive and score some more points. So there could be some extra hidden value there on McCaffrey. Another thing that if they take a timeout at some point, there could be a little bit of hidden value just in the fact that they have the ball in that now, and they're going to continue to have the ball. That was to Slayton. Yeah, that was a pretty solid chunk. I don't know if it was 20, but it looked like maybe 15 yards there to Slayton, somewhere around there. And
by the way, the CMC line was actually at 32.5. I might have misspoken, which is
32.5. Well, I like over 34.5 as well. So that means I really like over 32.5.
Yeah. What about you had the Bell anytime touchdown, right?
Yes, I did.
So I have no thoughts on him, but I want to hear the model's thoughts and your thoughts. Over 24, just to get another reception for any positive yards, is sitting at plus 120.
Wait, 24.5?
Yeah.
Is his receiving yards prop?
Yeah, with plus money on the over.
That's ridiculous. We're taking that right now.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous. We have him for 9 more yards median, starting in the second half. Yeah, we're taking that at plus money. Ronnie Bell, yeah, so I'm looking at Bet365 right now. Ronnie Bell plus 120 to the over 24.5. Basically, did you just get 1 more yard the rest of the game? We are 100% taking that, especially if this blows out. They're going to want to get him some more reps as, a backup receiver, especially a backup to Brandon Ayuk. So I love that. That's a great
prop. I saw that. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I mean, I don't know what his line was prior to the game. Do you know what his receiving prop was prior to the game?
I don't remember prior to the game what it was.
They might not have even had one. They just throw it in there.
Yeah, it's funny because we have his median at 9 yards. So it's basically saying, does he make 1 more catch or not? Because even though his median is 9, the probability that he goes over is only 53.5%, but we're getting plus 120. So I really like that. That's still plenty of value. We're just banking on Ronnie Bell catching 1 more pass.
Jennings sitting at 38.5. He's got 31 currently.
I really like that under on first just thought. Now, if I pop it into the model, it's 50-50. But Jennings is only pretty much playing in 11 personnel. They really were mixing in Ray McLeod. They were mixing in Ronnie Bell. So kind of like the under there, even though I'm showing 52% to the over. So it's probably one I'm going to pass on.
All right. I'll pass on it too. I didn't really have too much of a thought there. Oh gosh.
Yeah. And I like Jawan Jennings. I'm a fan of his. So if I'm passing on it, I think that, the personal feeling there says something as well. But yeah, that Slayton reception was for 17 yards. And I already forget the number we got on him. Wasn't it like 21.5
20.5 or 19.5?
19.5. Yeah. So we're 2.5 yards away, 3 yards away for Darius Slayton to hit the over already. But right now, just to kind of get where we are, it is 4th and 3. The Giants are attempting a field goal with 22 seconds left in the half here. 18 seconds left in the half, and they do make the kick. They're going to start with the ball in the second half. There's still 13 seconds left here, but I think we can pretty much feel like, San Francisco's probably just going to kneel it down. It doesn't seem like there's a need to press here and go for a long drive with just 13 seconds left in the half. So as we look, I'm just going to come over to Bet365 and look at the live Money line, Giants 10.25, San Francisco minus 1,800. So yeah, that's going to be around. Let me just put it in here. I don't want to do the math on the fly in my head when we remove the juice. But that is around 92.5. Yeah, around 92.5% chance that San Francisco wins this game, according to the live money line.
All right. Somehow there is still no touchdown there. No, that's just overall. There's not touchdown props out. Are those gone?
I think they'll get back up once halftime hits. I think we'll see the second half touchdown props that we like to look at. So we just need to wait those final 13 seconds out, I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna real quick pop in, because the Giants had a decent drive there. Daniel Jones now at 92 passing yards, still at 1 rushing yard. So our passing yard prop for Daniel Jones, 234 on the dot. And that doesn't factor in the fact that the Giants will start with a ball. We're showing 227, or I said Bet365 has 227.5. So there's a little bit of value to the over at 227.5. It's not a monstrous amount, right? Because that's basically just 1 completion, but there's a little bit of overvalue on Daniel Jones over on his passing yards.
Yeah, I'm going to look at completions and pass attempts. They just went off the board, but let's see, where were they? Passing completions, passing attempts. So Daniel Jones passing completion sitting over at 24.5. He's currently sitting at 12. His attempts are sitting at 37.5. He's currently sitting at 17. I don't hate either of those. I don't think there's enough value when they come back on the board to bet them.
We're at 38.1 for projected, so that's pretty much right in line. And we're at, for completed, 25.5.
All right, so completed doesn't seem too bad. That's not factoring in them getting the opening kickoff either.
Exactly. Yeah. We could see a lot of like check down type passes as well, just to kind of move these drives. It doesn't look like they've been or have been able to have a bunch of deep completions here. So 12 completions for 92 yards. That's not like monstrous chunks that they're grabbing. So we could see a pretty high completion rate for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I was trying to think of a way to describe the Giants receiving game, and it's pretty much like they have like 5 guys that are better than almost every team's 3rd wide receiver.
Yeah.
And worse than half the team's 2nd wide receivers. So they have 5 serviceable wide receivers. That's it. But I mean, they got Waller in there. I mean, it's essentially a very poor man's Chiefs offense is what it is without Barkley.
Yeah, exactly. So 6 seconds left in the half. 2nd and 11 here for San Francisco. We'll see what they do. I'm not sure what everybody's waiting around for. Just kneel the ball and go to halftime so we can reset things here and get our second half touchdown props up. That's what Grant and I are waiting on. And we've been pretty successful with those so far this year on our Bet What Happens live show. So officially we are at halftime. San Francisco leads the New York Giants by a score of 17-6. Little reset here. New York Giants will start with the ball in the second half. Yeah.
CMC's rushing prop is now down to 90.5.
90.5 for Christian McCaffrey's rushing yards. And we took over 99.5. It is down to 90.5.
I might hit that again.
I will say, how much do they want to work in Elijah Mitchell in the second half? But he's at 61 rushing yards. So we're showing with baseline usage 105.5, but that would be with baseline usage. If we want to dish some of that to Elijah Mitchell, then certainly less than 105.5. But is that enough for 15 full yards there? That's the question.
I don't think so. I'm hitting it again. So we got him at 99.5 and we got him at 90.5.
I'll ride with you. 90.5, especially because the Giants start with the ball again. If they score here, it's a one possession game.
Yeah.
So
And
they
if they
can't
don't,
just
then
give up on
CMC's
McCaffrey.
still going to get his running.
Yeah.
I'm also happy about that kneel down. I have Brock Purdy wrote up over on Scores and Odds under 8.5 rushing yards. And he's currently at 0. He got 1, and then he just knelt it down.
He definitely doesn't need to scramble now. So he's at -1 rushing yards right now. What is his rushing yard prop?
It was 8.5, and that was just an off. One of my favorite things to bet.
He doesn't even have a rushing prop now live. Okay.
Yeah, my favorite thing to bet is rushing yard unders on like quarterbacks that really don't run a ton. Like I had Tua on Monday night under 5.5. I'm like, he's not going to run like at all.
Yeah.
If
the game was competitive, like if it was San Francisco somehow trailing right now, I'd be less inclined to look at Brock Purdy's live unders. Now there are no live unders, but worry about the over as well. But he's not going to be scrambling right now. He's not going to be taking any chances. The Giants do blitz at a high rate. So if they could have generated pressure and maybe kept it close or had a lead, that would be the spot to worry about your Brock under. But at this point, that one seems pretty safe.
Yeah. No, I'm not terribly worried about it.
We have second half anytime touchdown scores up at Bet365. So I think we should probably dive into those. Where do you think you want to start first with those, Grant?
Not liking CMC too much, not liking Debo too much. Plus 275 is not great. Kittle at plus 400 is the first one that gives me a little bit of interest, but I don't think that's enough for me to take it. Elijah Mitchell plus 425 is also a little interesting, but not doing that. So let's look at Daniel Jones plus 700 anytime touchdown. The guy has 9 rushing touchdown, like 9 out of his last 19 games. No, it's less than that. He had a lot more than you'd think last year. He was taking off a lot more under Dayball. I wrote it up earlier. 7 touchdowns in 16 games last year, 1 in 2 games this year. What does the model say about that? I know you don't like his rushing over, but
yeah, our model has him at 975, but again, it's probably not accounting for the potential scrambling that he is going to do. So 7-1, just a little short for me. I'm going to pass on it, but I would definitely understand if you wanted to take it.
Yeah, that's just tough.
It is tough. Here's what I'm looking at. So real quick, we'll come back to Daniel Jones, but Darren Waller has run 13 routes. I was a little concerned early in the game with Bellinger's usage, but Bellinger has only run 4 routes. So Waller has run 13. Our projection for Waller's anytime touchdown for the rest of game is plus 485, and he is 8-1 on Bet365 for second half touchdown.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to hit that for half.
I'm on that one too. We're doing a half a unit official pick. Darren Waller, second half touchdown, 8-1 odds at Bet365. Obviously, if you want to shop around, whatever book you may have, if you can get better than 5-1, I like that as well for anytime touchdown. I'm just browsing around real quick. I think some places are locked, but let me go to live touchdown scores. Yeah, I'm seeing it pretty much all over the place with Darren Waller. I see some places locked, but Bet365 does have lines up right now, and they have second half touchdown Darren Waller 8-1. So we are on that one for sure. What else are you thinking about in terms of? I know I interrupted you there with Daniel Jones. Do you think you want to hop on that 7-1? Do you think you want to look somewhere else?
I already said I'm throwing a quarter unit on it. It's showing it like plus 330, plus 400 in other places. I just think with them being down, I mean, we saw it last week. We've seen it multiple times in the past. Like I plus 700 is just too much for me not to take it. So I've got to. Outside of that, I mean, Slayton plus 1100 isn't terrible. Hodgins plus 1100 isn't terrible. Yeah, I don't think it's enough to pull the trigger plus 1100, but it's definitely on the board. What is the models say about those two?
About which ones?
Hodgins and Slayton at plus
Hodgins
1100.
and Slayton. I think, let's see, the model has 7.5 for Slayton and 7 for Hodgins for second half anytime touchdown. So it's showing value on 11-1 on both of those second half anytime touchdown score.
You know what? I'm throwing both of them on the board.
Let's do quarter units.
People have gotten used to us just throwing a ton of bets out there.
Quarter units on those?
Yeah, we'll go quarter units on those just because I already have so much money on the line.
We just need one New York Giants passing touchdown, and it'll probably go to either Waller, Hodgins, or Slayton. So quarter unit on Slayton, 11-1. Darius Slayton, 11-1, and a quarter unit on Isaiah Hodgins, 11-1. Second half touchdowns at Bet365. Dude, their odds are so nice at Bet365. Those second half anytime touchdowns. It's the place to be for second half anytime touchdowns, in my opinion.
So someone's asking Jalen Hyatt over 0.5 receiving yards. So just will he get a catch? I'm not seeing it over at Bet365, but they're apparently seeing it somewhere else. We have 55% chance he goes over this one. All right. Yeah. So
it's just for that, it's basically just number of catches the rest of the game. We have him projected for 0.8 receptions. So, slightly to the over, 55.2%. So depending on what your juice is, of course, if it's minus 125 or something like that, you're not playing it. But at even money or at minus 110, there's enough edge there that I think it is playable.
Yep. Yeah, definitely don't hate that. Yeah, we got a decent amount of bets out here.
We sure do. We've been hitting these hard, but I think the anytime touchdowns, especially at Bet365, are so generous.
Well, I don't think we've had a losing game so far.
No, not overall. We haven't had a losing game. I think the very first game I was negative, but you were positive. But since then, we've both been positive on every game. So pretty solid stuff when you consider we've done 4 shows already, and this is our 5th one. And between the two of us, we're combined 7 for 8 on being positive on these shows. So not bad. But right now, we've gone through those second half anytime touchdowns. We're really on the Giants passing game. I do want to take a look at Elijah Mitchell plus 425. What does my model say? It says 6.5. Now, obviously, I want to mentally adjust his usage up, but also San Francisco not starting with the ball. The Giants could close this game. Definitely going to pass on Elijah Mitchell. Second half anytime touchdown score. Is there anywhere else you might want to look on San Francisco's side of the ball for second half touchdown score?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, it's just Kittle would be the one I have most interest in, and it's just not doing it for me.
I don't have interest in Kittle. He's at plus 528 in our model. So 425, not quite there for me. Debo, you mentioned, plus 275 pass. We're showing plus 270 right there on the dot. So, I mean, there's not even a couple cents of value per dollar there. So I agree with you passing on Debo Samuel. Ronnie Bell, no, thank you. I know he grabbed his touchdown. I know we do like him getting at least one more catch, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily a touchdown at 11-1, given we're showing 15-1 in the model. Juwan Jennings, I'm looking at him. 6.5 is way too short. We have 11:30 on him. Rest of game for anytime touchdown. So yeah, I don't think there's any value in anytime touchdowns on San Francisco's side of the ball. So definitely want to encourage you, if you are watching on YouTube, leave any questions in the chat for Grant and myself. We'll be happy to answer those. But in the meantime, Grant, what else are you thinking as we're getting close to wrapping up halftime?
I mean, there's really nothing else. I mean, Purdy's passing yards sitting at 241. I think that's about right considering the game script. My slight lean would be towards the under, but really not much at all. Daniel Jones rushing yards at 25.5. Again, I don't think I can go against the model there. CMC's rushing yards are now back up to 94.5, now back down to 93.5. Debo is an interesting one at 7.5, but I don't think they're going to give him
Yeah,
much in the running game.
they don't necessarily need to unless the Giants close it up here. Especially I would think with a touchdown, but a Giants field goal might not be enough. San Francisco has been overall defensively very strong. Obviously, in that 2-minute drill where the Giants got the ball with 1:40 left, they were a little prevent-y type there, but outside of that, they've been pretty solid at limiting the Giants moving the ball. I will say, though, that first Giants drive was solid, getting the field goal there. So the Giants have been able to move the ball. Do we want to revisit that Daniel Jones completions or attempts or anything like that?
Let's see what it's at right now. Daniel Jones completion still at 24.5, but now heavy juice on the over 20 or minus 135. Attempts sitting at 37.5. Normal juice. Now it's 36.5. That makes it a little bit more interesting. And the juice is back to minus 115 on the completions. 6 with, if they didn't get that field goal, I might be more apt to take it, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's
pretty close. It's pretty close. So like on the attempts, we're right in line almost with the market. On the completions, like I said, we have 25.5 versus 24.5, but there's enough juice there that I think one completion is worth like 3 or 4%, something like that. So it's just a fraction above the juice. So it's probably just a spot we have to pass on unless the juice were to be more towards the under there.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's tough finding bets right now. Let's look at rushing attempts. I guess that could be interesting. CMC sitting at 17.5. Brock Purdy, now it's 16.5, but juice changed pretty heavily. Brock Purdy sitting at 3. His projection is 5.5. So it's kind of, is he going to kneel it out at the end of the game?
Exactly.
And if he does, is he going to have to kneel it 2 or 3 times?
Yeah.
Looks like it's off the board now.
That's a fun one, but it's also one to just stay away from because we don't know how many times he's going to have to kneel it, or if it ends up blowing out, right? They put in a backup. So
yeah, what are the odds on getting 2 more receptions from either Hodgins or Slayton? I don't know if I'm going to
from either Hodgins
hit this
or
officially. I do think so it currently has it at about 50-50 to get 2 more for both these guys.
I have both of them at 1.9 receptions. So and you have to figure that's an average. So the median is a little bit lower. It's probably around 1.7, 1.6 receptions rest of game for both of them.
So, I mean, I think they both offer some value. Checking other places to see. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. In other places, I might hit Slayton. Do I want to throw more money on the board here?
Well, we are kicking off the second half here. It has been a hell of a halftime betting here on Bet What Happens Live. I'm going to recap these bets real quick. So we had Isaiah Hodgins over 18.5 receiving yards. Darius Slayton over 19.5 receiving yards. Christian McCaffrey we hit twice. We hit over 99.5 rushing yards, over 90.5 rushing yards, over 32.5 receiving yards for Christian McCaffrey. So Ronnie Bell over 24.5 receiving yards. That was plus 120 to the over. We also had Darren Waller, 8-1 second half touchdown, half a unit on that. And then we had second half touchdowns on the Giants wide receivers, Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodgins, 11-1 each for a quarter unit on each of those. So we have kicked off the second half. We're not really waiting on anything on this drive. So we are going to wrap up Bet What Happens Live here. Quite a lot of bets. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bets on Bet What Happens Live. Grant, I'm glad you've joined the show this year because I was getting like 3 to 5 doing it on my own. But now that we have the ability to kind of tag team this, we're able to pick off some lines a lot faster. So very exciting stuff. We'll leave you all to enjoy the second half. Good luck on your second half bets, everybody. And we will see you back here for more Monday Night Football Bet What Happens Live. Thank you and enjoy.
Play, kids.